Well, this exercise was meant to show you how you can do multiple studies and look at variables. What I want you to take away from this is that's all nice. Logistic regression is wonderful, and that AIC is great. But if you want to compare scores, multi-regression, multilinear regression is better in this instance. Okay? Just be mindful of that as well. And there are other problems too with the variables, right? Like I mentioned before, how many hours of exercise? Is it every day? If you get exercise during the week and you don't do it on those 2 days on the weekend, is that still considered every day? Is the patient's definition of every day based on the work week or the entire 7 days, right? So there are some flaws with this. Now, does that mean that you have to throw out the baby with the bathwater, as the expression is? No, it means you need to be a smart data analyst, a smart business analyst, a smart data scientist, and make sure you have the right data. And sometimes that's impossible to have perfect data. And that, my friends, is the most important lesson is sometimes you're not going to have the most pristine data and you have what you have to work with. You have to figure out a way to work with that data. Maybe you have too much data. Maybe there's too many observations, too many variables. Well, start small, creep into it. Don't just jump, head first into a massive project without doing some baby steps, without checking some things out, trying different techniques, seeing which one works, because all data is not equal. Right? There could be seasonality. There could be multiple decisions that people make in their answers. There could be variables that aren't even being asked, right? I mean, that's one of the beautiful things is if we find errors in our data, meaning that this patient definitely had pneumonia, but our model said they didn't, well, we then have to go and discover that. We have to go and figure out how to improve our model. And it isn't always, oh, well, now I'm going to use logistic regression instead of linear. That could help, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it's discovery. Go and get more data. Start asking your Epic healthcare database to collect more data. Start training your doctors, your nurses, your PAs on better questions or interpretation of those answers, like follow-up. Oh, so when you say that you exercise every day, do you mean 7 days a week or do you mean 5 days a week? Oh, well, actually, generally speaking, I get 3 to 4 days in. Does cardio count versus lifting? Your patient might interpret your question differently, and certainly differently than a data scientist is trying to study it for. So, think about those things and translate those things into your business analytics class that you have. Translate those things into being a better, data science person, a better business analyst, a better data analyst. Translate those things into a better market researcher or a purchasing manager, things like that is really, really where it's at. The technology will follow, but what it really takes is that, back to kindergarten, thinking caps, getting your thinking caps on. So hope you enjoyed this. Play around with it. Feel to play around with it. But what I want you to do is I want you to get to this step. I want you to be able to export some results and be able to compare them side by side. Will you get some massive discovery out of it like what you see here? Probably not. But as your teacher, I'm wanting to make sure that you can follow through on this and use the techniques to get to that point. I'm going to give you another data set a little later, just for fun. I'll have it out by Wednesday, where you might discover something different. So what I'm asking you to do is everything I just did in the walkthrough. Okay. I want you to write just a little paper on the AIC. I want you to notice any variables. I want you to write about variables as well, similar to the other week's assignments. So, thank you.